There's a way to generate real, usable, measurable electricity without fuel, without solar panels, and without a single moving part. Two pieces of metal pushed into damp dirt. That's it. That's the entire setup. In 1841, a Scottish clockmaker did exactly that and powered a working telegraph system across miles of open countryside. No power plant, no batteries, no coal. Two metals and the ground beneath his feet, and the device produced steady current for months without a single ounce of maintenance. Then the telegraph companies looked at his patent and realized something terrifying. If anyone can generate their own electricity from soil, no one is ever going to buy it again. They didn't bury this technology because it failed. They buried it because it worked too well. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is the oldest electrical generator in human history, and the secret the energy industry has spent 2 centuries quietly stepping on. Welcome to Secret Mechanic. If you're not subscribed, hit subscribe and ring the bell. This is where we crack open vaults that billion-dollar industries welded shut. The year is 1841. A Scottish clockmaker named Alexander Bain is working in a tiny workshop in Edinburgh. He isn't rich, he isn't connected to any scientific establishment, but he has an obsession with electricity that borders on madness. One afternoon, Bain drives 2 different metal rods into the damp soil behind his workshop, one copper, one zinc. He runs a wire between them and connects a small meter. The needle moves, not a flicker, a steady, sustained, repeatable current, flowing out of the earth itself. Bain doesn't fully understand the chemistry yet, but he understands what it means. He files a patent the same year, patent 9745, and calls it the Earth Battery. He uses it to power his clock designs. Then he scales it. By 1843, Bain has demonstrated that buried earth batteries can run telegraph lines without any conventional power source. Telegraphy is the internet of the 19th century, connecting cities, nations, entire continents. And Alexander Bain has just proven the entire system can run on dirt. He isn't alone for long. 50 years later, in 1892, a farmer in Murray, Kentucky named Nathan Stubblefield takes the earth battery in a direction no one expected. Stubblefield buries metal coils all around his farm and connects them to a device he engineered himself. On a freezing January morning, he invites a handful of witnesses to his property, holds up a receiver, and they hear his voice, broadcast wirelessly across his fields. No wires between transmitter and receiver, no conventional power source, just earth batteries powering the entire system. The local newspaper calls it a miracle. Stubblefield demonstrates the same technology again in Washington, D.C. in 1902, transmitting voice across the open Potomac River. And here is where the story turns dark. Despite repeated public demonstrations, despite working hardware, despite witnesses, no major company invests in what he built. Stubblefield dies alone in 1928, penniless, in a shack on his own farm. His devices destroyed or scattered. His patents expired without a single product ever reaching the public. Now go back further, 2,250 years before Bain. In 1938, archaeologists working near Baghdad uncover a clay jar roughly 5 inches tall. Inside is a copper cylinder with an iron rod suspended in the center. The artifact dates to approximately 250 BC. When researchers at General Electric fill a replica with grape juice as an electrolyte, it produces between 1.5 and 2 volts of measurable working electricity. The Baghdad Battery, 2,000 years before Volta, 2,000 years before Edison. Someone in ancient Mesopotamia had figured out that 2 different metals separated by an acidic liquid produce electric current. This is not theory, it's lab-confirmed, replicated, measured. The principle has not changed in over 2 millennia. Civilizations rise and fall, empires crumble, but 2 dissimilar metals in wet earth still generate voltage today, exactly the way they did before the Romans laid their first road. And here's what should make you sit up. In 1848, the United States government itself used earth batteries to power sections of the early American telegraph network. The technology was officially documented in reports filed with the Smithsonian Institution. This wasn't fringe science, this was federal infrastructure. And then, quietly, without any public debate, without any scientific refutation, the earth battery vanished from public conversation. Not because something better was found, because something more profitable was. This video is just the surface. I have collected everything the off-grid power industry would prefer you never knew, all in the secret mechanic vault. Earth battery blueprints with exact metal combinations and voltage outputs. Off-grid power methods that work without solar panels, without lithium, without a single subscription. Emergency shelter designs that beat $300 tents in the field. Water filtration that engineers said couldn't possibly work, until they tested it. Over 12 guides in a single vault. The link is in the description. Stay with me because the science is even more elegant than the history. The principle is called galvanic corrosion, one of the most documented phenomena in all of electrochemistry. When two dissimilar metals sit in any electrolyte, any liquid that conducts ions, electrons flow spontaneously from the more reactive metal to the less reactive one. This is not a hypothesis, it's a law of physics, mapped on a chart called the electrochemical series, taught to every first-year chemistry student on Earth. Soil is a natural electrolyte. It contains water, mineral salts, organic acids, billions of microorganisms, all enhancing ionic conductivity. Every handful of forest floor is a chemical soup engineered by nature to drive a galvanic reaction. The voltage depends on the metals. Zinc and copper produce around 1.1 volts per cell. Magnesium and copper push close to 2 volts. Aluminum and copper around 1.5. A single cell isn't much, but here's where it becomes interesting. Connect 10 zinc and copper cells in series, you get 11 volts. Connect 20, 22 volts. Enough to charge a phone. Enough to run an LED camp lantern through an entire night. Enough to keep an emergency radio alive for days. A 2017 study from the University of Wisconsin measured sustained current from soil-based galvanic cells over a 90-day window. Less than 12% degradation across 3 months of continuous operation. Compare that to a conventional alkaline battery sitting on a shelf, losing up to 20% of its charge without even being used. The USDA published a soil conductivity survey showing that most North American forest soils sit between 200 and 800 microsiemens per centimeter, well within the range needed for usable galvanic output. The dirt under any average campsite is already a working electrolyte, just waiting for 2 pieces of the right metal. A team at MIT demonstrated in 2015 that microbial fuel cells operating on essentially the same principle could power remote agricultural sensors for over a year with zero maintenance. The numbers aren't theoretical, they're field-tested, peer-reviewed, repeatedly confirmed. And yet, search Earth battery on any major retailer and you'll find exactly 0 products for sale. Not one. Why? Follow the money. The global battery industry generates over $150 billion in annual revenue. The average American household spends over $150 per year on disposable batteries alone. Multiply that by 130 million households, and you start to see the architecture of dependence. Now imagine a technology where the raw materials cost less than $2, where the electrolyte is the ground itself, and where the chemical reaction renews itself as long as the soil stays moist. You can't patent dirt. You can't patent the electrochemical series. It is a law of nature. You can't build a subscription model around copper and zinc, metals any hardware store sells by the pound. And you absolutely cannot build a $150 billion industry around something a 12-year-old can assemble in a backyard with pennies and galvanized nails. So the Earth battery had to be erased. Not banned, that would draw attention. Not debunked, the science is irrefutable. Just quietly removed from textbooks. Absent from hardware store displays, missing from every mainstream survival guide of the last 50 years. Here's how to build one yourself. The materials cost under $5 total. Go to any hardware store and pick up 14-gauge solid copper wire and a box of standard 3-inch galvanized steel nails. That galvanized coating is your zinc electrode. Cut 6-inch strips of copper. Find a patch of moist, mineral-rich soil. Forest floor, garden bed, or anywhere near a stream is ideal. Avoid sandy or extremely dry ground. Push 1 copper strip and 1 galvanized nail into the soil about 4 inches apart, 3 inches deep. That's 1 cell, and it'll produce between 0.8 and 1.1 volts, depending on soil conditions. Now wire them in series. Run a wire from the copper of cell 1 to the zinc nail of cell 2, then copper of 2 to zinc of 3. Each cell stacks its voltage on top of the previous. 10 cells gives you roughly 8 to 11 volts. 15 pushes you past 12, the standard for USB charging. Add a $2 voltage regulator from any electronics shop, plug in a charging cable, and you have a working phone charger powered entirely by dirt. A camper in northern Maine documented a 20-cell copper and zinc earth battery during a week-long backcountry trip and reported charging his phone 3 times and running an LED lantern every single night. Total material cost, $4.37. Compared to a $150 portable solar panel that doesn't work at night and breaks if you drop it, or a $200 power bank that has to be recharged from a wall outlet, the earth battery weighs almost nothing, works in any weather, and the fuel is the entire surface of the planet you're standing on. I have to be honest about the limits. Earth batteries produce low current. You're not running a refrigerator off this. Soil moisture matters. Output drops in dry conditions, but you can fix that by pouring water over the electrode site. The zinc nails corrode over time. You replace them every few weeks. But for off-grid lighting, phone charging, emergency communication, low-power electronics, this is not a novelty. It's a proven, century-old, fully functional technology that turns soil into electricity. This knowledge didn't die. It was waiting. Waiting in Alexander Bain's 1841 patent. Waiting in Nathan Stubblefield's Kentucky farmhouse. Waiting in a clay jar buried under the sands of Mesopotamia. For 2,000 years, humans have known that 2 metals in wet earth create current. No industry can erase a law of physics. They can only make you forget. And forgetting is not permanent. If this video opened a vault for you, hit subscribe and share. The next vault opens soon, and what's inside it cuts even deeper.